took us to the 19th floor. I remember the number because the elevator paused for a second between 18 and 19, like it wasn't sure when we stopped. The room we entered wasn't big. It was more like a gallery, white walls, a single chair in the center, and a long table with one man seated behind it.
What?
Clive Davis. He didn't
I
stand.
got 1 second though.
He didn't speak.
I'm gonna leave.
He just looked at Rob and said, we had a chance to reintroduce you. He spoke calmly, methodically, like he was explaining a chess move. Kept referencing the new vision, exposure, complete vulnerability. I remember that word. Vulnerability. He said it 3 times. Rob asked what that meant. Clive just looked at him and said, we need the people to see you. The silence that followed was suffocating. Rob shifted in his chair. I could see his jaw lock again. He smiled right away. He stared at the table like there was something written there that only he could read. Then quietly, he stood up. No, he said, not angry, not disrespectful, just final. Clive didn't argue, didn't move. He just blinked slowly and said, shame. It would have been unforgettable. As we left the room, I looked back, and I swear I saw someone else sitting in the corner. Someone I hadn't noticed when they came in. They didn't speak, didn't even breathe, just watched us leave. We didn't talk on the way down. Didn't speak again until we were halfway back to the hotel. Then Rob said, they don't want music.
We're underneath the front of the hood, like
I
underneath the
didn't know
front,
what to say,
underneath the car.
because deep down, I knew he was right.
Hey!
That night, he had a nightmare. I heard him screaming through the wall. I ran to his room, but by the time I got there, he was already awake, drenched in
I know
sweat,
he does. That's what
staring
Fox
at the mirror.
You said don't feel.
He didn't tell me what he saw, but he packed his things the next morning. Said he needed a break. We skipped the next appearance, and the one
What
after
the
that,
fuck are we watching?
but the calls kept coming. And so did the
Vanilla
numbers.
ice cream.
By the time we got to the Arsenio Hall show, Rob was frayed. He hadn't slept more than 2 hours in days.
I'm gonna go home.
He stopped to get 3 meals. Spent most of his time pacing hotel rooms, staring at curtains like he expected someone to be behind them. But he showed up. Even when it was clear the walls
I'm
were
not gonna give
closing
him
in.
when he barks. I'll give him when he clears.
Backstage felt off from the start. The green room lights flickered constantly. Not enough to draw attention. Just enough to make you wonder if your eyes were playing tricks. The producers were polite. Too polite. Everyone spoke to Rob like he was already done. Like they knew something he didn't. I remember him looking at me before we walked out. They're gonna try to embarrass me, he said. I told him he was
That's some
ready.
bullshit, cuz. I'm not saying you want. You no service. Just see.
Yeah, only AT&T and T-Mobile work out of here.
Fuck your T-Mobile and AT&T, nigga. What's
And
that?
AirTalk.
And the AirTalk.
You got an AirTalk phone?
Yeah.
You do?
Well, it disappeared.
Fuck, man. I need one of those.
What? No, you don't give it.
He barks louder when he wants food than when it's danger.
No, fuck you, go.
The dog?
Look at your eyes. Ow. This is Mr. Buzz?
That's a trip.
If I need to, I might need to ride to court in the morning. You take me if I have gasoline?
You need a ride to court?
Yeah, I might need to ride to court. Yeah,
Which court?
it's in the one Southwest. Is the court to the jail? I might. I'm not sure yet. But my homie take me. You got a small car. I'm like, I ain't trying to have a fucking warrant thing 'cause I'm in the streets.
Oh, that cigarette?
I'm talking real quick.
If you got another ride, that'd be better because I'm a little unreliable, but otherwise, I'll take you.
How was that shit? Was good? The food was good?
Oh, yeah.
Hello,
I can't tell who
everyone.
you're looking
Welcome
at.
to another episode of Dakota
Huh?
News.
I couldn't tell who you're looking
I'm
at.
looking at you.
I know, but she's right there, too.
I didn't eat.
I know, but I thought he was talking like a joke or something. I don't know.
I was talking about the fucking food, dude.
How would I know the joke is good?
I don't know, dude.
Shut up, man. Watch out. I'm not hitting my fight back. Watch out. If they want to get mad at me right now. I'm always mad.
True internet.
There you go.
Hey, you got more DMT? You had some, huh?
Horror story.
I had DMT.
Normally internet horror stories.
First time I met you had DMT,
Video
remember?
of the dark
Mother
web,
shop?
some gave their head chopped off and it
No,
turns
that was
out
mushrooms.
it's just like
Liquidy stuff?
like corn
That
starch.
liquidy stuff.
Remember me and Rusty was like,
This sounds true. And Dr. Gloves is a scary. If it was a serial
Yeah,
Dr.
wrong
Gloves
person.
would,
you never had DMT?
I haven't had DMT
that
since
sounds
I met
like
you.
That's right.
I haven't had nothing since I met you, like except for
Horror shows,
mushrooms.
I've never read this. Let's get into
Coke.
it.
High-end coke, yeah.
Sure, high-end rock.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
That shit was fuck, honey.
No, it wasn't.
That was cool. Yeah, Bob Dumpster, I met you for sure.
Yeah.
You talking to Gigi?
I haven't talked to her since that day.
Fuck, man. I'm gonna get my bitch Angel back. Fuck. Fucking with my fucking sister. Fuck. That bitch is fine as fuck.
Supposed limits that exist in many people.
She had fake tits too.
Conversation. Thanks to the internet,
Oh,
some
that's a little
ability
motherfucker
of
black.
life
That
to
bitch.
together in their own echo chambers where they can speak freely. We learned the extent of people's debaucherous urges and prejudiced ideations, and they seem to know no bounds. Yeah, especially when it's like hidden behind keyboards, right? It's just like, imagine if you got a room and it was like, oh, what was it? Oh, all the Nazis or whatever.
And you don't have a cigarette?
It's like forum or whatever. It's like,
Really?
isn't it like Stormgoers or something? There's
Huh?
that famous one.
I don't know.
Is that it? From the like Nazis or whatever? And it's like you put them in a room together and be like, oh, like, not because they get up to Nazi shit, but probably because they'd be a bit embarrassed. They'd be like, oh no, I was a secret Nazi. But it turns out I was wrong. There really might be a limit to everything. While 4chan always seemed happy to host numerous murderers, QAnon, and pictures of every illegal thing imaginable, eventually met their match. And that is the subject of today's video. Really, like, this was too much for 4chan. 4chan's like, shit, anything goes. Except for Dr. Gloves, whatever it might be. I've started off this episode cheery, but it's going to go horribly wrong, isn't it? It's something so horrific that all of the original posts by the user and subsequent discussions were scrubbed from the internet and its archives. So consider yourselves warned. Oh, Kevin, I got another podcast, dear audience, called The Casual Criminalist, and I sat down to record Decoding the Unknown today because I didn't want to sit down and record an episode of people getting killed. It seems I've stumbled into Dr. Gloves, whoever he is. Today's video is brought to you by one of my more unusual sponsors, and that would be Foreo, a beauty company that decided to sponsor me. Doesn't make beauty videos at all. But look, Foreo wrote to me, and I was like, "Are you sure you want to sponsor me? Are you sure this is the right matchup?" And they were like, "Just let's send you the products and see what you think." And I tried their Foreo there for a month. I was really impressed with it. So I was like, "Okay, let's go." But today I'm not talking about the Luna 4. This is fantastic.
Hey!
With the Luna 4, you can enjoy an effortless skincare routine tailored perfectly to your needs. Personalized cleansing, guided massages, relaxing consultations, and here's the kicker: it's incredibly hygienic, ultra hygienic silicone touch points that are 35 times more hygienic than brushes with nylon bristles. And look, I swear, I'm not becoming a beauty influencer, but really, I have from like nasty brushes,
Hey!
like arts and stuff. I've got lots before, but not with the Luna 4. It's also a perfect gift for your significant other. I got myself these things, but I also made sure Florio sent some to my wife. She loved it. Right now, you can get 35% off Luna 4, but it's only for the first 100 people. So, if you want to treat yourself or surprise someone special, don't miss out on this offer. Check out the link in the description below, and now back to things. Most of what remains are the second-hand retellings of exactly how everything went down originally, which means that some of the details might not be 100% accurate. But today's a good day to be listening as a podcast, because the other things that remain are the pictures. I don't know how much our lovely video editor is going to share with our audience, but don't worry, Simon. I'm only going to show you 2 pictures. 2 pictures will be enough. Oh, I don't like it. I just scrolled down and I saw the 2 pictures, and I don't know what they're of, but it doesn't look good at all in any way, and I'm not happy. There's nothing like immediately disturbing about them, but they're the sort of image that you see, and then you're like, oh no, now I see why it's so immediately disturbing. And there's something weird and blacked out.
Let me see.
Oh god. A picture is worth 1,000 words, like so many things. It all started with a post on 4chan. Because the original post had been deleted, I'll find the exact date on
I say it's cool though.
all of the evidence seems to point to having taken place sometime in 2017, and I can 2014. There was no text added. This
Shut up.
Posts and usually all anonymous. So I didn't names either. The initial post was just a picture with many more pictures to come. The man in the image was the nickname Dr. Gloves because it's been seen wearing a pair of surgical gloves that went right up to his elbows.
That's that shit right here.
Some sort of hospital wall. Oh, boss. Yeah, I'm putting together these pictures now. Is this dude like a mortician that's eating people? Oh no. It was dirty and gross looking, but that's actually pretty normal. These are areas off limits to patients, so they don't get the sparkling renovations that main areas of hospitals often will, because nobody's going to see it anyway. No, like, this was like a very American view. I don't think I've ever been to an American hospital, but I've seen American hospitals in the movies, and they all look very nice. Like hospitals elsewhere in the world, they're just like, I feel like all of the money is just pumped into
Strong, kid.
the actual healthcare rather than
There
like
you go, though.
hospitals look
That's
nice,
bullshit.
the hospitals look
Look at
nice.
this bullshit.
Like if you were an American and you rolled into a European hospital, you'd be like, what? Why does it look like a nice hotel? Why is it weird? For somebody working in such a location, Dr. Gloves' attire mostly made sense. In addition to the gloves, he could be seen wearing either scrubs or a dress shirt and slacks. Occasionally, he would also wear some protective suit thing that would be worn over the clothes to keep them clean. The use of surgical gloves instead of exam gloves was a bit odd, as they are more expensive and probably not necessary for most of what he should be doing, but that wasn't the most questionable part of his outfit. Dr. Gloves wore a gimp mask. Oh!
Okay, cool.
He's looking at this, not like he's wearing a weird balaclava. No, it's a gimp mask. That looks very sweaty, though. That looks very unpleasant. This was obviously to conceal his identity, but it still created a disturbing image. If I needed to conceal my identity, I wouldn't immediately go, I'm going to get a gimp mask. It'd be like, well, I'm going to get a balaclava, aren't I? Because you can buy a balaclava at Decathlon. To get a gimp mask, well, you've got to go to some website that sells gimp masks and then give them my credit card information, which I'm sure is fine.
Hey, since picture, you only see what's up with these hoolies, G. Hey.
You do you.
Yeah,
But
1960
I'm
nickel,
buying
nigga,
a
what's up?
balaclava because I can just go to Decathlon.
You okay? You falling asleep over there?
No, I got a little bit of headache.
Mask is more
Did my dope baby headache?
No, I might already had it.
Some people still refer to it like the
Exaggerated.
alternative name of
You got a headache?
instead of Dr. Gloves, though that never
Not
started.
yet,
Which makes
damn.
sense since it's just Sarvanoff master you're wearing the gimp mask anyway. Oh, thanks for the clarity. Yeah, that does make sense.
Can
That
you
makes sense.
take a
Thanks for the
picture of each one?
So what exactly could Dr. Gloves have been doing in this morgue that required him to conceal his identity, you ask?
Chinese coins,
What
nigga,
else
what's
was
up?
playing with the corpses? Specifically, he
Hong Kong
posed and
thing,
photographed
what's up?
himself while screwing around with and otherwise disrespecting stillborn and miscarried fetuses. Hurrah. Through the power of image editing software,
I never
someone
saw
been
my
kind enough to cut the
fuck
bodies out of the images. The two I'm going to show you now are by
They
far
give-
the
they give me
most
a
I
headache
promise
after
you
all day.
it got much worse. I don't have to tell you this, Simon, but for any curious viewers, I strongly recommend against
There you go.
these images. I accidentally saw
Seems kinda
while
like the
researching this, and I'll never sleep again. Anyway,
Yeah,
enjoy.
definitely.
Yeah,
Except
like
for not
my
watch-
curiosity
we watched
is
hers.
to like look them up.
Fuck
It's
y'all doing?
like, oh, I really want to know what's like that thing. But I also really don't, and I'm not going to. One time I accidentally saw, I don't know, I
Like,
can't remember how I saw this, but there was like,
How do you tell
this
if it's joke
after
good
a
like
plane
by
crash, and the
How
bodies
did you
that
lie?
spread around the place, and I saw this.
what about like any kind of like
Ah!
do you care about like how it
Yeah,
looks or any of that shit?
my soul. So don't go looking this up on the internet. It's not a good idea. In the first image, we can see Dr. Gloves holding up a small deceased body by pinching its neck, which is a common theme among these images, with about half a dozen of them featuring body
Like one way I know to tell
The second
is like
factor to determine
how
if you're
sensitive
getting
it is to
the three objects on the tray are
heat.
small
Like when you take the heat
human
away,
brains.
it cracks back really quickly on its own. Like if you just blow on it, it cracks back like that.
Internet sleuths
Really?
apparently have a lot of experience with brains compared to the ones pictured by
Not really,
Dr.
I'm
Gloves
having
against
issues with
various
my brain.
living animals, but none with a like size and shape. Dr. Gloves appeared out
My
of
Google
nowhere
phone
to
don't
begin
work
posting
either
these
anymore.
images, and at first people went nuts. But
The one I let you borrow that time.
some users were disgusted, many people absolutely loved
Ah.
these images more. Weirdos grow. They just got to be uploaded.
So what?
Green one turned on?
Yeah, dedicated images.
You gotta say, I did that one.
No, no, no.
I also love them. Users posted all sorts of comments
Giving you
in support
updates.
of Dr. Gloves, many of them wanted
I
to
think
do
he's nuts,
more.
right?
To some of these
Or
acts,
somewhere
genuinely
that they,
their
bounce
bodies
on that
were
they're always
like
there.
porn. I'm sure at least some percentage of these comments were
People that do a bounce on, where is somewhere that they're always there?
Like where can we go
Is
to
that
it?
my office?
Yeah, I like to think like almost
They always there?
last authority. This was like teenage judgments. The pictures continue to be posted, with some depicting Dr. Gloves tossing organs into the air and cutting dead fetuses. But for the most part, it was more of the same. Fans had wanted more, but not more of what they'd already seen. They needed him to take things further, and Dr. Gloves obliged, just not in the way that anybody was expecting. After taking the user's feedback into consideration, subsequent images featured him posing with not with the corpses, but with live children.
Oh,
The children
man.
appeared to be developmentally challenged, and some may have even been comatose. A new series of pictures showed Dr. Gloves placing his gloved hands over their faces, and in one instance, hugging a child's nose with his fingers and seeming to cover
You
their
got a
mouth.
prayer here? I need a prayer bad, bad, bro.
Most of the children in the images
No
were
one
hooked
hooked
up
up
to
to my
breathing
shit.
tubes or other medical
Huh?
devices.
That one
save
hooked up
one.
right now.
I know, you don't want to
Able
take.
to walk freely
Oh,
around.
no, no.
She was the one that Dr. Gloves took the most pictures of.
Check the
He
garage
held her
for
face
old
with his hand in
prints,
one
something like
picture and scratched
Yeah,
the back
go.
of her head and appeared to press it against the wall in another. Possibly the most frightening one, he seemed to be forcing her head into his crotch
Bring that weed.
with one hand
Fuck no.
on his arm
Bring my weed,
behind
you
his
nigga.
back, holding open a plastic container with a set of X-Acto knives that he'd previously used to cut into deceased body. What? I was not prepared for this, Kevin. I know you warned me in the introduction, but by that point I'd already set up the camera and sat down. I was not prepared for this. This time, people were not thrilled. Showing off and desecrating dead bodies was one thing, but abusing live children was far too much. These gore fans may have enjoyed videos of terrorists executing their enemies or graphic footage of people dying in accidents, but they still had their morals. They also had some of the most creative and evocative insults I've seen. One female user replying that she wanted to get a temporary dick transplant so she could skulk the sadistic piece of shit to death. Temporary dick transplant. It's pretty good. Thanks to these new photo shoots depicting the abuse of disabled children, playtime was over. The gore community now had one singular goal in mind: dox the shit out of Dr. Gloves. Oh, Dr. Gloves, you've got too far. Are they sure? I feel like they should be able to identify who he is based on the picture here that I'm looking at. It's like American plugs, so immediately we're in America. That fire hydrant, fire extinguisher, I don't know, I feel like people will get some information from there. 37B written on the wall, I feel like this is enough information to like, someone else has been in that morgue, someone else has been through that building, and I feel like this is enough to get him doxxed, right? Even that one picture. It doesn't take much, it really doesn't. The hunt for Dr. Gloves. Dr. Gloves vanished from the internet after his child abuse photos upset everyone, but people immediately got to work examining the pictures and trying to find any details they could that might pinpoint his location. One of the first pieces of evidence was the presence of electric outlets in some of the pictures. Internet sleuths were able to easily identify that the building had to be in either the US or Canada based on the shape of the outlets. So what type of facility were they looking for? Yeah, that was the first thing I went to. So like immediately you narrow it down to US or apparently Canada. They have the weird upset face plugs. The most obvious answer was a hospital, presumably a children's hospital. The images taken in the morgue made this pretty clear. Not only did Dr. Gloves have access to bodies, but markings on the wall indicated that it was a reasonably large facility. In the first photo I showed you, the number 37B appears on the wall above the fire extinguisher. Number 37 is often associated with fire codes and fire extinguishers, and 37B likely would have shown up in the map of the facility as the location of one of the extinguishers. Another image showed the numbers 329 with a biohazard symbol. This label was almost certainly obscured in the photo and actually said 3291, the code for medical waste. It was pretty definitive that the morgue was a part of a hospital. All of the children, except the girl in the pink shirt, had been hooked up to medical equipment, so they had been in a hospital setting as well. The only question was whether or not it was the same building. It was possible that Dr. Gloves could have worked at two different facilities. Yeah, but let's start with the idea that he's not. Let's start with the idea that he's working in a hospital with a morgue, because it seems unlike or less likely. It seems like he works in the morgue and then he's also been like wandering around the rest of the hospital, getting up some dark shit. So that's where I would begin my investigation. That room also used rocker light switches, those really long switches that basically look like buttons rather than a traditional light switch. This was another detail you wouldn't expect to see in a hospital, nor would you expect to see what looked like a cable jack in the wall. What's a cable jack? In the picture, the light switches were visible. It looked like Dr. Glove was lifting the girl off the ground by the hair. I say that it looks like that in this instance because the floor isn't actually visible. It's possible these pictures may have been taken at his home with his daughter, and he was just having her pose with him for pictures. If that was the case, she could have been standing on something for that photo. Given that all of the other pictures are confirmed to be authentic, there are only a couple of reasons I would even entertain this as being staged as a possibility. The first is that it seems unlikely Dr. Gloves could have lifted the child off the ground by their hair without her screams alerting anybody. That almost certainly makes it seem like these pictures had to be taken in a private residence rather than the same hospital where the other children were. It seems like a very reasonable assumption. She is also the only child whose face is never visible. Her back is to the camera in every photo except one, and in that one, Dr. Gloves' hand is covering her entire face. It's possible that he didn't want her identity to be seen and traced back to him, and that he had just had a pose for some photos to make it seem like he was even more of a simp than he already was. It's also sadly possible that both things are true and that it was his daughter in his home, but that the images were of him genuinely abusing her. Right, let's just say it's not, because I don't like that. So, we know that Dr. Gloves had access to both the morgue and to living child patients. This seems to highly suggest that he would have been a doctor. A mortician wouldn't have been seeing living patients, and a nurse wouldn't have been spending enough time alone in the morgue to put on a gimp mask and take all those pictures without being seen. But would a doctor? Wouldn't a doctor just go talk to the mortician? Or is the mortician the person who does the autopsy? I recently started watching a TV show, but back in the day it was 6 Feet Under. I'm just trying to think if that dude is a mortician, the guy who plays Dexter, or whether he's like an undertaker or something. I can't remember. Who's the medical person? Like the medical examiner or whatever, who looks at the dead bodies. I feel like that would be his job. And then it'd also sneak out into the rest of the hospital wearing his doctor's coat or whatever, and people wouldn't question him because he's a doctor. He'd just be like going into the children's room and they'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing in here, Bert?" The mortician. I don't know where the name Bert came from. It seemed appropriate for a mortician somehow. And he'd be like, "Oh, nothing. Just nothing." And they'd be like, "Okay, Bert. Have a good weekend." There was also some speculation that Dr. Gloves wasn't medical staff at all, but rather that he was a janitor. Janitors would have access to nearly the entire hospital, including the morgue, and they're generally viewed as being invisible. Yeah, I mean, they're viewed as being invisible unless they're wearing a gimp mask. In that case, you're like, they're bloody visible because they're wearing a gimp mask. It would explain the use of surgical gloves in nearly all the images. It doesn't make sense to wear surgical gloves when just checking in on a patient who's hooked up to a ventilator or something. But that may also have just been an aesthetic choice. He had worn them in the original pictures and was given the nickname Dr. Gloves, so maybe he felt that the raw addicts wouldn't like him anymore if he switched to more subdued exam gloves. There's a lot more evidence that he was actually a doctor or physician instead of anything else. Aside from his access to both patients and the morgue, there was also his clothing. In some pictures, he was wearing scrubs, but in others, he was wearing a dress shirt and fancy shoes. Wearing dress shirts is common for doctors, but not for pretty much any other members of hospital staff who would have that level of access. People working in billing and stuff would certainly wear dress shirts, but they shouldn't be able to go down to the morgue. So, Dr. Gloves was most likely an actual doctor somewhere in the US or Canada, but where? It seems like it would be difficult to further narrow it down. The gloves worn, very common brands used by hospital. The hospital linens appeared in some of the images were manufactured by Medline, which serves over 10,000 hospitals in the United States. So it seemed like it was going to be a dead end as well. Yes, but this is all very useful information. Like, from one photo, essentially, we've narrowed it down to 10,000 hospitals, which is a lot of hospitals, obviously, but it's not like an unsurmountable thing. We'll narrow it down further. It's got to be a hospital that's large enough for this, or I suppose small enough for this to be gotten away with. It's got to have a children's ward. It's got to have a morgue that deals with children. Is that a different thing? A pediatric morgue? Oh god, that's a grim saying, isn't it? There's ways to narrow it down. Like, even if we got down to 5,000 hospitals, then from that, it's still pretty good. However, when looking carefully at the linens used, somebody noticed a rather unusual pattern containing little orange elephants. They decided to search eBay and other resellers for people selling used linens with that pattern, and all the sellers were either in California or Arizona. Boom! We've just got it down to 2 states. Further investigation revealed that Medline's orange elephant blankets were used exclusively by Dignity Health hospitals in California and Arizona. Research had just been narrowed down from most of North America to only 39 hospitals. Boom! Just go look in the morgue in all of those hospitals and see if that fire extinguisher is 37B or whatever it was. Just go check all of that out. People began focusing more on the details to try and narrow down the exact hospital and Dr. Gloves' true identity. He had particularly hairy arms over which he pulled his size 6.5 gloves. This was particularly noteworthy because that's pretty small for a man wearing surgical gloves. Different sources claim different averages, but it seems that either 7 or 7.5 is pretty standard for men. A size 6.5 would either rip when most tried to put them on, or it would cut off their circulation. In addition to the hand size, they used the size of the door frame and other equipment in the morgue to estimate Dr. Gloves' height at between 5'8" and 5'11", but probably on the smaller end of that. Yeah, he's got small hands, he's probably a small man. And 5'11", he's a very tall man. As a man of 5'11" myself. It wasn't a lot to go on, but it was something. With only 39 hospitals now, maybe they could make some headway on that front. Yeah, this is 4chan, and they're keen on doxing this guy. There's going to be lots of people. There's only 40 hospitals, basically. So just find people near to each of those hospitals. You can easily knock 20 off, right? Surely there's going to be 20 people who are just like, yeah, I'll just go down to the hospital and wander into the walk. Do you think you could do that? Oh, I know, how many people are unfortunate? It's big. Maybe there's even people who work at the hospitals to go check it out. I guess there's like swipe cards and stuff. You can't just go wander into it. But you could look through the window, couldn't you? I guess walkers maybe don't have windows, so that'd be creepy. Who knows? Research was done into what facilities each of the hospitals has. Not all of them would have long-term care facilities for disabled children, which narrows it down quite a bit. Allegedly, internet investigators have tracked the blueprints of the hospitals to see what would match what little of the building's layout was labeled in the images. This may or may not be possible, as most blueprints are considered public record, but not all of them, and it varies by jurisdiction. Well, we just need the jurisdiction of California and Arizona. What do they need? They may have just been using a simple floor plan or directory of hospitals that people could use as a map. You are here sort of thing to find where you need to go. Unfortunately, since all the original discourse is gone, there's no way to know which it was. In either case, they were able to use these maps to narrow the hospital down to Glendale Memorial Health Foundation, hospital run by Dignity Health in Glendale, California. Certain they found the right hospital. Now what those meddling kids need to do was pull the kid mask off their villain. That's incredible. Are they really going to be able to do that? I know I said I was going to show you 2 images, but here's one more that we need to discuss. Don't worry.